Hello and welcome to Uninterrupted with me, David Mbeha. We are at our podcast house right here at Quisub House here in Eros, and I think this space is just the perfect space if you're looking for home away from home within the city. You're looking for a tranquil space to just work. I'm gonna leave their details, and you should get in touch and definitely experience just a different kind of peace, but within the city. I am joined on this episode by award-winning artist. She's a mother, she's a singer, she has done such incredible things, and I remember the first time that I met her, and I don't think she even remembers this, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. Please welcome onto the podcast the one and only Sally Boss Madame.
Thank you for having me.
So I said a songwriter, award-winning artist.
Yeah.
What did I live out?
Wow, you know when you're a mom, there is nothing that you don't do.
Moms do everything.
Moms do everything.
Yes.
I'm a songwriter as well.
Yeah.
I compose as well. So,
Yes.
yeah. I don't want to brag.
Yes, I know, but I think at this point you have earned every right to brag when you've been in the industry for quite the amount of time that you have been.
Yeah.
But I was saying, the first time that I met you, you don't remember this moment, but we were taking a picture, we're doing something for DSTV, and I remember we were taking a picture, and I was like feeling so low. You didn't know this. I was feeling so low, and I just couldn't smile, and you said to me, "Smile, you've got a beautiful smile." And to this day, I remember that.
Oh.
How important is it, especially in the kind of industry where we are, to share kindness?
I think it's for me, kindness just goes like beyond. It's not even about the industry. It's just that in life you don't know who you're gonna touch, and in our industry, I would say now, people always expect us to be a little bit different, to feel ourselves a bit more or be less of a human. I don't really know how to put it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just how I was raised. So I was taught you need to be kind to people. You don't look down on nobody, and you just be the best you. And then there it is. It's stuck years later, and you're telling me that I made your day or your night, and I had no idea. So being kind. The
kind of impact that it has. There's two things that fascinate me, and that's the reason why I started this podcast. One, I am fascinated with musicians because the ability to have words run through your head, put them on paper, have a melody and a beat, and have that come out and be something that we are able to enjoy is a different kind of, I would say, connection to a higher spirit first. And then second, I think I'm always obsessed with, because I feel like if you understand how somebody grew up, you are then able to understand the mechanics that make them who they are today. But first, let's talk about music. You growing up and music. Tell us a little bit about that.
Me growing up in music is just intertwined, because I started singing, if I could remember clearly, I was around 7. When I turned 8, I started doing, so my background with music started in church. But like a lot of musicians, I think that's where we get exposed more to it. And I was in a band, and I started singing, obviously being the leader. I was around 10. And from there, I just kept with it, and I started learning how to play instruments. And when I turned around my 16th birthday, I joined the youth choir, and then that's where I learned how to play the keyboards and the pianos and the guitars and all these other things, because I just loved music. But from where I find that the most interesting thing for me is, just a few months ago, I was asking myself this question. I was like, how far back can I remember this music thing? And I remember that the impact with me started when I went to church one Sunday, and there was this musician, and she came from Angola, and she sang, and my mind was blown. And I sang after her, but she's like grown that time, and I sang after her, and she picked me out in the group, and she was like, she pulled me aside and said, "You should never stop. You're gonna be great one day." And I was around like what, 9, and I didn't even know how strong that was, because I'm sitting here years later in my 30s, and I'm trying to remember, where does this come from? So she just gave me that oomph and to believe in myself. And since then, music has just been the thing I do. I perform for my parents. My mom would like switch off the lights, and then we put on candles, and then you do like puppet shows and stuff, like with shadow play. And for me, it was always the brush. The brush was my mic. I would always sing. So my mom loved it when we performed at home. My brothers did all sorts of jokes. For me, I was always the singer. And that's how far back it goes.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. What kind of parents did you have? Were they strict? Were they very supportive? What kind of household was it?
Man, I would say my mom was I was raised by a single mom, obviously. My dad came and left. He was around, but he wasn't around as often as I was loved. So I was raised by my mom with my 2 brothers. And my mom, she is like, I would put it like, she was not like other parents, because she was strict, but not like that strict. When it came to art, she was willing to let you just do whatever you wanted to do. And I think that's where sometimes where I draw some of it from, because right now with my kids, I'm a mom too, I would let them paint and draw and whatever they want to do, especially when it comes to art, because I let them express, because my mother allowed me to express myself, and she knew that I loved to sing. So she already sought out groups that I could join in church that had to do with singing. She met this group, and she was like, oh, my daughter would love to be in this group. And I didn't even know it existed at that time. So when I joined it, I felt like meeting another part of me, because I met people that were just like me. And it brought me out of the feeling a little bit of shyness and, not so sure what you want to do with yourself. So she wasn't strict at all. She was very supportive, and she's still now the most supportive person I've ever met in my life, because she's still behind everything.
And it's beautiful that you were validated in terms of your talent from such a young age. How important do you think it is for people to grow up around that kind of validation as they step into the industry?
It changes. When you're young, I would say when I was a kid, everybody loves kids. You can dance. Oh, she's so cute. You can sing, and people are okay with kids doing certain things. But when you start to want to take it seriously, especially in a black household, that's when it kind of dwindles a little bit from yay to
like we thought it's just a joke. Now you're taking it too far.
you need to start thinking about how you're gonna be a lawyer or a teacher. So it changes, and I had to fight for my position. I had to fight for it, because you don't really have many examples that you could say, like in our country. Obviously in the world there's Michael Jackson, there's the Beyoncés, the whatever, but growing up you didn't really have many examples to point to and say, I want to be just like who at that time. Yeah, we had the late Jackson Kayewa, we had a few of others, but they weren't really seen as successful for them to think it's a worthy enough dream for you to go after. So that's where it changes. And then comes the doubt, and then comes the, you probably do better if you be a teacher, or look at your uncle, he's a what, and so. But I think my mom did her best where she could, and I think that's the only thing sometimes we could do for one another, just to try to just understand, and then you just let the rest work itself out. And with mom, she knew that I loved it so much. She didn't want to stop me, but at the same time, she's being a mom. She's trying to tell you that, hey, I'm not so sure about the singing thing and how long you can keep up with it, because you got to grow up. You're gonna pay bills.
Pay the bills.
And like I said, there were not many examples when I was growing up. So.
But what kept you persistent then, despite the pictures that you saw that I might do this thing and I might be great at it, but there's also a higher chance that I might not be as successful as my parents would want me to be in terms of financially. What kept you fighting for it?
Failure. I never wanted to fail. I still don't want to fail. So I know it's probably the most unpopular thing to say. I think you can draw power from something positive the same way you can draw power from something negative.
Exactly.
So for me, it's still what drives me today. I don't want to fail at it. And when I mean failure, I'm not saying that you lose something today and you get it tomorrow. No, I mean like I set out for a goal, which was I'm going to do this for life. And I know there is not much to go on at sometimes, in our country, you don't really have much, there's not much of a structure really. But I don't want to start something and then stop just because there isn't enough population. They blame everything on population, especially when it comes to music. We don't have a lot of people, we don't have infrastructure, whatever. But I just feel like if this is what I was meant to do, come high, come low, we're just gonna have to figure it out. But you can't stop, because then you will never know, and then
you'll never know,
and then you're gonna be trapped in this what if, and I can't do that. So I'm gonna go as far as I need to go till I reach whatever, and I go, oh, look back and like, oh, it was really, really worth it. I believe also that I believe that the Lord will not let me pursue something for such a long time, give it my whole life, for it to lead me absolutely nowhere. No, I don't think so. I think we just need to put up with it, because at the end of the day, every industry started somewhere. I'm sure somewhere along the way, many years ago, there were people that didn't know what they're going to do, where it's going to lead them, but they stuck with it, and something happened. So I'm definitely, I wake up in the morning, and sometimes I do feel like, I could have been like who and
And it's such a competitive industry, and I like that you say that it's important to look at, I could have been so and so, because you are looking at it from a point of drawing inspiration of what I could be. How important is it to have an industry that is competitive, but at the same time is able to lead to inspiration and not lead to toxicity?
The thing about the music industry, honestly, it's like a canvas. It'll be whatever it is you want it to be. So if you come there with dark paint and you splash it on there, that's exactly what it's going to be. And you come there with color, that's exactly what it's going to be. So for me, I turn to not think too much about the negative parts, because there's a lot of that going around in the world. And I do my part of, I will say, I'll try to bring a little bit of light to it, because there's only so much you can do. But I really believe that somewhere, somehow, somewhere, there is a young little Sally. There is someone out there who's like, I just want to be just like her. So you have to leave something behind.
That's very important. You are getting into the music industry, obviously, and you're becoming a household name, and everybody knows Sally. Sally here, Sally there, wherever you go. But to you personally, what was the first indication that I think we're going somewhere? What was that first indication? I mean, if I look at it in television, for some people, it's the first time when you're on TV, you're like,
the also real moment.
Yeah, like for you, when was that moment when you realized, I think we're going somewhere?
David, that was such a long time ago. I don't even think I remember entirely. But I will say, I did a lot of small things along the way. I did a lot of small things. I did a lot of shows. And you see, the thing is that it just keeps changing, because you just keep going up and up. Every step comes with a
different level.
Yeah, a different level, and you unlock and you're like, oh wow. So if I have to go to the very, very beginning, it's just as simple as, just like you said, seeing yourself on TV and stuff. But for me, it was hearing myself on radio. And I heard myself on radio, and they pronounced my name right. And then it was not just hearing myself on radio. Somebody actually called into the station and they actually requested
It's more special.
my song, and they said my name, and I didn't even know how to react because I was like, someone called into the station and said, I want to listen to Sally's song I, because I had like an old song. Please don't request that song. It is an old song. I don't even sound like that no more. But yeah, and I was so mesmerized by the fact that someone out there actually heard and remembered my name. So that was the aha moment. And as you start going up, then there's a platform. The platforms, they change. And I remember I used to watch the City of Windhoek's countdown, like religiously, like everybody. Yeah. For me, that was like, I always believed that if you make it to that stage, you have made it in life, because everybody watches that. And I would watch, as an upcoming artist, I would be like, one day, oh, if one day. And when the day came, I was so nervous, but I was so excited to make a memory. And funny enough, it was not even about other people, it was about myself. I just couldn't wait to get on that stage to actually like imprint it in my mind, like I actually made it to the stage. So when they called me for the first time, my manager, and they were like, we want to have Sally, and then first I just went as a guest. I think I performed 2 artists before the countdown. That was already like, I have made it. And then the following year, they're like, we want her to do the countdown.
Done.
You couldn't tell me nothing.
It's the power of manifestation. Is incredible how you can. Do you ever, there's a moment where I was in a shop.
Yeah.
And I picked up a pamphlet, and it says, I think it was Vurman, they were having their 100th birthday celebration. Yeah. I looked at the pamphlet and I said, imagine if I'm the one that did their 100th celebration. Ooh. I kid you not, yeah. I get home, and by the way, I was taking a taxi, so I took a taxi back home. As I get home, this man had inboxed me on social media, would you like to be part of the whole campaign?
Wow.
I was so shocked that I asked him.
Yeah. Are you sure?
Who recommended me? Who did it?
Yeah. Who did it?
Yeah. And then I realized that I had manifested it.
Yeah.
So manifestation comes in so many ways. Sometimes it's just looking at something and then having a moment and then walking away. Yeah. But then that moment, then I feel goes into the realm and creates something more magical for you. And listening to you now speak about the countdown, I feel like you manifested that moment. The moment you looked at that stage and you envisioned yourself there, you had already created a moment which was to come.
You know, they say where the mind goes, the man follows.
Exactly.
So if there is a reason why I say we have to keep our thoughts pure and clean, because if you're going to, you first create things or commit whatever it is up here. And if you are darkened and if you're thinking negative things all the time and all these thoughts, I mean, the Bible says this too, you need to think positive. If you think negativity all the way, the man follows. Then your body and everything around you starts to, it moves in place and it leads you down that path. That is why it's important for us when you wake up in the morning, you take time to yourself, and go through the list of things that you want to achieve. And otherwise, if you just wake up and just let your mind wander, that's exactly what's going to happen with you. You're not going to achieve anything. You're just going to be wandering around.
That's true. That's true. I want to talk about accepting yourself as you are. As an artist, you give so much, and at the same time, you are also, as much as you give, every time you give something to the public, you allow it to be criticized because it's no longer within your domain. You have allowed it to go out there and be public. But in terms of who you are somebody that is very comfortable within your own skin. And I think when I look at that song that you did, Natural. it's a celebration. I remember the interview that you did. You said it's a celebration of who I am and everything that I am.
Yeah.
How important is it to stand in your own light?
You know, it's important because the best thing you can ever be is yourself. If you're not comfortable with who you are, you're gonna have a very hard time being on the surface of this earth. Because I learned to understand that the more I chase things, the more they run away. So, meaning in other ways, I would say, if you're constantly trying to embody other people, you're gonna keep chasing, meaning something has to run. And you're going after it every single time. And you might not even catch it. So I've learned that embracing yourself for your flaws, the goodness, the hardship, you have to just take it in, because that is what makes you you. It's the only way you're going to be happy, because it allows you to be happy even if you haven't reached your full potential yet. You know? So if you're, because I can't be one of those people who wait for things to be 100% to be happy. And when we do this music and whatever it is we put out there, you have to first understand that this is me, and regardless of what you think, this is still going to be me. But you can't get to that point unless you accept yourself first. And when it comes to the music can be such a mirror. You know, if you're not in a good space, I mean, it can come out in your music. And the public will always, you know, the public will always say something, because it's part of kind of what you sign up for in a way, you know, good or bad, because you kind of are their entertainment. And I also learned to separate the two. It was not easy to do it over the years. I had to learn to separate the work Sally and the Sally, because if you keep just merging those things, then you start getting touched by everything people say, because you've merged yourself in everything. So now someone goes online and say, oh, I just really hate that song and and she did. Now if you, because as an artist you always wear your heart on your sleeve, right?
And as a creative you're hypersensitive.
Always. But you have to learn to put a sphere around yourself to protect yourself. I mean, you know, you can't be touchy about everything, because you need to understand to some degree. People are going to judge you. Some things are going to be good for you to hear, but you just can't take everything in. So I learned to separate myself a little bit. So I keep certain things to myself that I feel, you know, because I have kids, I have family. So some things belong to my family. A part of me belongs to my family. And then there's a part that belongs to the public. If you're going to give everything to the public, they're not always going to hold you like an egg and try to carry you gently. Because sometimes they're going to come and they had a rough day themselves. And they're going to kick you and punch you. So you need to learn how to, you know, separate the two. And if you don't, in any case, if you think quite deeply enough, then you're not sometimes cut out to do the job. Yeah. Because what I really don't like a lot of times is people say, oh, you signed up for it, oh, you signed up for it. Yeah, to some degree, yeah, but you're still a person. Yeah. You're still a person, and with artists, man, it's so hard to, first of all, you make a song, right? And you've spent hours in studio, but you think it's perfect, and you put it out, this sucks, you put it out, and you thought, this is the one, they're gonna feel it, they're gonna love it. And the first thing that comes out is, whoa, oh, it's terrible, what was she thinking? Natural was about, it was not just about the hair. People thought it was just about the hair. No, it's about everything, you know, everything that comes naturally to you. For you, speaking comes naturally. For some people, singing comes naturally. Some people, you know, other things come natural. So it was about celebrating yourself entirely, because as a person, it's not one thing doesn't cover everything. There's a lot of aspect on you. So either you cook, your mother, or what. So all those other things make you you. So natural comes, those things come naturally to you. So when I put out Natural, I didn't even think it was gonna be a hit like that. And I remember the radios loved it, and the first music video I put it out, and then the first comment that actually came in was, "Oh man, this song sucks." Oh, this song sucks, and I was like, what? It threw me off, but at the same time, it also fed the part that the part that doubts yourself a little bit, because you gotta fight yourself.
That's
every
what
day.
negativity does.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, okay. I mean, yeah, I knew it's not all bad. So you let yourself down easy. Yeah, I knew it was not all that.
But then, knew it was coming.
Yeah, it was a matter of time. But crazy enough, give it a little time. Like after the third day, it was blowing up. It was everywhere. Then you switch to, it's actually the one.
Yeah.
So it's a roller coaster of emotions with musicians. It's not just musicians, anybody who's in the art industry, because you create something and then you put it out there and then you hope people love it, and then you hope that they go on a journey with you. Okay. So if you're constantly going to be pulled left, right, and center by what people say, you're not gonna get pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. You then, before, I'm not sure whether it was before, you created an anthem which in my personal opinion, was an anthem that empowered a lot of women in terms of like holding their own, be it you're a working woman, you are a boss madame, you are in a relationship, you have to hold your own as a woman. What was the process like when creating that song, and did you think it would have the kind of impact that it did, where a lot of people tend to call themselves boss madame, and it became a whole phrase, boss madame?
So this song is I would say my biggest song, or I'll say it's my breakout song that everybody, it stuck with me. People call me Sally Boss Madam. When I came out, I was just Sally, and then they were like, "You mean Sally Boss Madam?"
Yeah, Sally Boss Madam.
That song, it was written by me and DJ K-Boss, and we had a lady next door who just, every time she comes home, the way she drives her car, the way she carried herself, I think she worked for a bank. Yeah, because now she's like my older sister. And we just moved there. And the way she carried herself, she had no kids, and she was just, always the way she does things, she's so poised and she spoke. So we would always make fun of, like, would call her, "Oh, look at that boss madame. She's a boss, but she's a madame," because the way she carried herself. No, her name is Nano. She would carry her bag and her stuff, and she drove like a Polo, I think. And the way she drove like she knew that I'm gonna reverse and I'm not gonna knock your car.
Yeah, like I hold my own.
I know what I'm doing when I'm behind this wheel. But also how she but she was the sweetest and kindest human being. But at first glance, you'll probably be scared because she just looks like she's got it all figured out. So we would call her every time, we're like, there she comes. And so we wrote the song, and K-Boss was like, "Listen to this." And I was like, "This works. Wait, you remember her?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then we put it together, and we wrote everything, and we put it together. And immediately when I heard that song, when it was finished, I listened to it on my laptop. And I listened to it over and over and over and over and over. And I went to K-Boss and I said, "I don't know, I like the song, but I don't really get it, but I like it."
I don't get what it's about.
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, but just listen to it again." And over and over. Okay, cool, it's a great song. And we, finished the album, and I was actually pregnant when I was working on that album. So I was not so sure about a lot of things because I was heavily pregnant. Breathing wasn't really like, breathing and pregnancy, no, not on the same WhatsApp group. So that album, I sang it like running out of breath. And Dr. Boutique came and he heard the song in the car. At some point they were traveling, I don't know. And he came to me and he said, "That song is gonna give you problems performing." Because up to that time, they didn't really know that I could actually perform like that. Like I could also like dance and stuff. And I was like, really? So I took it as a challenge. So when we started choreographing the song and doing it, I just had it in my mind. I was like, the Buti thinks it's gonna be, I'll be the problem here.
I'm gonna show you.
I'm gonna show you. So and that's how, you know, that song. But you know, everybody took it and just made it their own. Because you can't tell people what to do and what to feel. They're just gonna take what works. The song is talking about empowerment, like you said, you know, being a boss, being a wife, being a whatever it is now, you know, boss in every element in your life. And other people decided, oh, it's about me being the main chick, the side chick, who's chick on that chick.
Yeah.
And it works. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Let it be. I'm not gonna stop anyone from saying, no, it's not about being the main chick.
And allowing them to interpret it how they feel.
And that's the thing about art. I can paint something right now and think, oh, this purple color is going to represent the purple side of my heart. And someone else can look at it and think, oh, this just speaks to my sadness. So it is what it is.
Yeah. How does motherhood then change your view of art and the world?
Motherhood just changes everything. I have not met one woman who said, and then I became a mother, and then it was just business as usual. It changes everything because the outlook, the way you look at life, you start to want to take things a little bit more serious. And maybe that's the part that my parents wanted me to see early. Yeah. And it had to take being a mom. It's such a blessing being a mother. Being a parent in general, you make people. You know, you made a person, and this person relies on you for everything. It's scary, it is exhilarating at the same time. It's exciting, but you're also like scared out of your wits because you're just like, can I do it? And then life just becomes this thing where you constantly try to make sure that keep this person alive. So everything around you changes because then you want to provide the best. See, that's where motherhood changed me. Because now I just want to crush everything so that my children have something to say, Mom did that. And it makes you want to create a safe space. So kind of being a mom, you just become a warrior. You punch through things. You're soft, you're gentle, but just like a lioness. You try me, I'm gonna eat you up because you have so much to protect. So with what I do now in the music, it makes me just want to work that much harder. It made me also at the same time also made me very, very soft because you want the best, but at the same time you don't want people to walk all over you. And the thing about motherhood also for me was when I wanted to make sure that I work hard, I didn't want anybody taking advantage of me. Because now you have children that you want to provide for and you want to bring in as much as possible. It also brings people that feel like, hey, you need this opportunity and you're going to do your best and I'm going to just give you what I want. That comes with it as well. People want to play with you and you just like, nah.
I was watching an interview which will.i.am did, and he said, I wish I was a father 10 years ago because he said he didn't want to have kids earlier because he felt they were going to be a distraction, but now in hindsight he feels like they were going to fuel him. Because you never want to fail when you are a parent.
No, because to tell the truth, it's kind of like this. You can't afford to fail, you know. And at the same time, you gotta put everything you have into surviving. So sometimes it just feels like the seesaw, you know. Can't afford to stop, can't afford to fail. So they give you that to just keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah, and also the humility. You also at the same time, you can't just be on your soldier moment all the time because you're mom. So you still have to be gentle.
Yeah.
You know, when they come like my last born, Yeah, he comes and he runs and he fell, and sometimes you're on the phone talking to somebody and trying to be the boss.
And now you have to switch.
And then you just immediately, and then my son comes and he cries and you're like, oh. Yeah, Will is right. Honestly, a lot of us thought we knew things.
Yeah.
And when children come, I think that is when life begins with children come.
Because they teach you something about yourself.
Man, you just can't afford. Music was fun. Music was all about yay. And then it just turned into no, you're not. I'm not gonna come to your event just cause you think
I'm a businesswoman now.
Exactly. So you gotta make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you've found your purpose in music?
I think every day, life throws things. You keep discovering new things.
Yeah.
For me, the type of person I'm diverse. I refuse to let one thing be me, because I think I'm evolving. I feel like with music, I wanted to conquer it and say, I want to be good at something. And for me, I feel like I want to be good at music, and it does give me purpose, of course. But I also want to be able to conquer other things. Yeah, it gives me purpose, but I want other things also to be able to, give me the same,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So before music, there was acting. And I remember there was an article written about me many years ago before I even became I was well known, but there was an article written about me being an actress. And music was part-time that time, the acting was full-time. And I remember that it was the talent was acting and singing makes me who I am, makes Sally who she is. It's a long time ago. And now I look back, I'm like, it's so easy to pick one thing and just do that one thing and be great, and that's great. But I really still want to go back to that original title of, I want to do that. And if I could win an Oscar, I would also like to win an Oscar. Yes. Thank you very much. And I would like, if I could win a Grammy, yes, why not? Yeah, because I feel like as a human, we're so wonderfully created. God made us so perfect that, perfect in the sense that, we just keep growing. Look at how we were at the beginning. We invented a wheel, and that was it, and that was like amazing. But then look, we got ships, and we got airplanes, and I believe if you just stop at one thing, then you're stopping yourself from discovering what else you can do. So yeah, I love the music. It gives me joy, it gives me happiness, it's a purpose. But I also want to be able to I also want to know what more I can do.
Yeah, and I think it's so funny you speak of that, and you explain it so beautifully, because my biggest struggle sometimes is, wait, am I the quiet one? Am I the
yeah.
Am I only seen once in a blue moon? Oh wait, I'm at the beach. If I post this picture where I'm shirtless, am I the shirtless guy?
Yeah.
And what does that even mean? So it's okay to be so many things.
Yeah.
Because I think the industry also has made it to such, if you're a singer, you should only be seen around music, doing musical things.
Yeah.
If you're seen at a cinema or in a movie, then you're confusing people. But people do get that human beings are multidimensional and we can do so much.
There's this saying that everybody says, jack of all trades. What does they say? It's a master of none. Being a jack of all trades,
master of none.
Master of none, but the rest of the quote goes, but it's better than the master of one. So that one thing, and go like that's my thing. And I always think about it this way. You can't predict what's gonna happen. So okay, I'm the singer and that's me, and everybody just knows me as that, and that's great, and I'm even living out of it and whatnot. And then, God forbid, one day then you can't sing no more. And then what? Then you're gonna go all the way back and just start, let me see what else. You know what I mean? And maybe that time you're in your 50s. I'm just thinking straight, I'm just saying. And then what?
and then you're going to be depressed, and you're gonna want to throw yourself in a wall because then the music is just what you are. Look, I just feel like the same way my closet has different clothes, I just don't wear one dress every day. I love the purple dress, but I also love the yellow dress sometimes, and I feel sometimes orange just does well for my complexion. I feel like I want to do different things so that I could be able to, explore and feel fulfilled as a human, because I don't think one thing just does it. And yes, again, I said the music is great. You have to work, just not just the music, whatever it is you're doing. Work hard at it, master it. But you know what? That's why the hobbies and all these things. Sometimes that hobby or this thing is just that part-time thing. Maybe that's actually the actual thing. And you cannot lose yourself in one thing. Yeah, like I said, conquer it, be a master of it, but splurge a bit. Spread out a little bit. I feel if you can't do that, you will find peace comes in so many other areas, because then you know what? I do sewing. I love to sew. I'm not the best tailor, but it gives me so much peace. Exactly. And I love when I just fix I have a room in my house just for my machines, by the way. I sit and I sew, and and I love making my little outfits. And sometimes family members, actually now, I must say I'm pretty proud of myself, because my family members do come around and say, hey, I need a shirt. And I was thinking, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can whoop up a shirt for you. It's gonna cost you this little much, but I'm just saying that now I find peace in it. I sit in my house and I sew, and if I'm not doing that, I'm knitting, and if I'm not knitting, there's just so many things you can do with yourself. And I can actually see myself making one new career out of it. I love interior designing. I can weave baskets. I feel like you cannot just hold yourself to one thing. And yes, if you're smart, like what the Bible says, invest in other things as well. So you just don't invest in your country. If you can invest in another country, because you never know when the war strikes in one, then you can run to the other. Something like that. I remember something like that I read in the Bible. So it's just about being smart, and also just venturing out and see one more. Because the music is great. I love it. It's my main thing. But I also love the way I feel when I sit and I paint, or I draw, or I do other things.
It's beautiful. What kind of legacy do you think you want to leave behind one day?
That's a hard one. That's a hard one, but not so hard. I still want to be known to be Sally, the artist. That one is still my number one. And now also I think it differs also, because there is to yourself, there's the close circle, and then there's everybody else. Those can't be the same. To my inner circle, I think the legacy would have to be slightly different, because I want it to be more than just she's a singer, because they're people that you talk to every day. So with the close circle, I hope it's gonna be her honesty. That woman worked so hard. Oh, did you see how she did this and that? To the inner circle, I would like that to be a bit more intimate, more broader, more detailed. And to everybody else, I want that to be the part that they felt they drew more from me. So if my music helped get you out of a struggling moment, or helped you talk you off your ledge, or then that's great as well. I just want to be of service to others. So how that looks, I can't really control.
And allow people to interpret it how they feel.
Yeah, I just want to be of service, because I think that's what we put here on earth to do, to be of service to others. And sometimes that comes in the form of being a sinner.
Yeah.
Because music goes way deeper. Music touches the soul. Music is more than you just sitting and dancing. Because even that music that you're dancing to, somebody had to put you in that mood. They did it specifically to put you in that mood.
Even working out too.
There is the music you play for working out. And then there's the classic music you listen to when you just want to...
Or when you want to cry.
Yeah, point.
It's a certain selection.
For me, with classic music, it's not even just about the cry. It's so many. Like I said, we're not just one thing. And I just wanna be of service, and that's gonna look different to different people. Obviously, I can't pinpoint it like that. I wouldn't restrict myself like that.
This has been such a beautiful session. I want to say you are, first of all, incredibly self-aware. You're incredibly intelligent, and you've got such a beautiful understanding of art, music, and life, and that's why it was so important to have you on this platform.
Thank you so much.
And you speak beautifully and clearly, and I think I just want people to hear this message and be inspired and empowered by it. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you for having me.
It's been beautiful, uninterrupted.